I can always tell when something's going to be good when my instrument starts to get like icky, like a little kid. I'm like, and I'm sticking my feet in the sand and digging in. I know I'm resistant, and I'm like, oh, you're scared because that's going to be good, or you're scared because that's going to take a lot from you.
Hi, I'm Alex DeLerma, and this is the Cinema Gym. If these videos are helping you and you want to see some more, please like, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this thing going. Kathleen Randazzo, you promised me you would come back, and you did come back.
Of course.
And I'm really happy you did, because do you think there are ever times where an actor is justified to say, my character wouldn't do that? Or is that just like crazy self-destructive behavior? What do you think?
That's such a personal question, because if you're a really sensitive, well-known working actor and you're working on scripts a lot, right? And you have a body of work behind you, and something that the writer wrote is hitting you funny, especially if the writer's the director. I would suggest, without being on set in front of everyone, like take them aside and be like, why am I saying? I wouldn't say I would never say that, or my character would never say that. I'd be like, why is this written? Like, what were you thinking when you wrote this here? Because for me, it's not feeling right in my instrument, because everything else is flowing, and this is just here hitting my ear wrong, or maybe I'm looking at it wrong. So it's always good to get inside that mind of the writer and see if you can find your way, and then maybe the insight they give you, you'll be able to find your way into it. And if not, all bets are off. Give it a shot. Try it. Try it with all the disgust and dismay you have with the line that you would never say. Try it that way. See if it works.
Listen, I get it. The writer wrote it. He knows who that character is within his own imagination. He put ink on paper, and there it is. I would say to the writer that, look, we're actors. We're crazy. I'm not an actor anymore, but I'm still crazy. But there is some genius. That's true, right? Like a Marine.
You'll always be an actor.
Right. But there is some genius in the craziness in there. So you really want to listen if you're a filmmaker. And in the podcast, I'm expanding the scope of it to include topics that gear toward independent filmmaking. So I want to say to the writer-directors, I get it. That's your baby. You wrote it. But why is that actor saying that? And maybe the resistance is you haven't done something earlier in the story to set up that piece of behavior or that line that the actor is doing. But they're not writers, filmmakers, so they can't tell you, hey, all we got to do is establish this, that I'm capable of that earlier, and then the audience will buy this. So really exactly the actor, sometimes the actor's coming from ego. It's an unflattering piece of behavior to do something to a woman that looks misogynistic, and that, and they're claiming, oh, the character would never do it. Meanwhile, they're like, oh, my mother's going to see me do this to Kathleen Randazzo on screen. It's going to be horrific. She's going to yell at me. So as a filmmaker writer, you don't know. You don't know, because you're dealing with a creative, and they could have ulterior motives, but maybe they're right. So think of them as another audience member. They're another audience member that also happens to be in the play, I agree.
But ultimately, I think it comes down to who has the power, right?
Right.
So if you don't have the power, you got to make that line work. You got to make that, you got to justify that.
Yes.
So you're going to have to
find a way to
make it work. And also, that's going to make you better, because it's so easy to go, I wouldn't do that. I remember I was driving a set at one point. I'd promised I'd do this role, and I was on my way to set, and I was with my assistant in the car, and it was a scene where I had to I was very unhappy with my life. I had made a ton of wrong decisions, and I had to beg this guy to kill me, and he was a driver, and I take him to the top of this hill, and he doesn't know why he's there, but then I try to get him to shoot me in the head. And
Wow.
the whole time I'm in the car on the way there, I'm going, this is a stupid movie. I would never freaking do this movie. I don't even know why and it was because I was afraid. I did not want to go there. So I was, and you know, I can always tell when something's going to be good when my instrument starts to get like icky, like a little kid. I'm like, and I'm sticking my feet in and in the sand and digging in. I know I'm resistant and I'm like, oh, you're scared because that's going to be good, or you're scared because that's going to take a lot from you.
That is such a great thing to share with actors, that sometimes you're resisting out of fear.
Oh, fear's a huge thing.
And you got to get past your ego, and really it takes time to get that to that level of self-awareness and honesty with yourself. That's a great point. I remember as a young actor seeing, I think it was Lethal Weapon 2 or Lethal Weapon 3.
I love those movies.
and Mel Gibson said what I thought was the worst line in the world, but he made it work, and it was a lesson. I went, oh my gosh. If
so
I
cheesy.
read that line on a script as an actor, I would probably say to the director, is there any way we can rewrite that line? Because that is a stinko. And he put so much energy, and he did it in just the right way. And this manic, I think it was he and Danny Glover were now back together as a team. And he does that rapid fire, kooky delivery that he would do in the Lethal Weapon movies. He goes, I'm bad, you're black, we're back. And I went, wait a minute. I'm bad, you're black, we're back. Oh, that is the worst line in the world, but he made it work.
He made it work.
That was, it's such an outrageous, silly, but he's so committed to it. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, yes, that's so funny. Anything else to add before we wrap this up?
So yeah, if you ever are having a resistance to a line or a dialogue, before you just go and go get rid of it, unless you're Clint Eastwood, because he got rid of 90% of his lines anyway, because he could just give a look, right? So he did. He used to pick up scripts and he would just get rid of pages and pages if you read about him.
Yes.
And he was like, I don't need to say all that. I just have to look at the guy.
Yes.
So unless you're really Clint Eastwood and you're a star, or you're any other star, just see if you can justify it. And who knows, you could take that line and you could make yourself a star. That's just by doing what you suggested and making it magic.
Okay. Thank you for coming back to the gym.
Again, thank you for having me. Always a blast.
Absolutely. The Cinema Gym is all about helping you transition from the stage to the screen. If you're interested in classes, seminars, or private coaching, you can visit the website. Hope to see you in the gym soon.
TheCinemaGym.com for virtual one-on-one coaching for camera.